Hello, everyone. Good evening. How are you all doing tonight? This is another episode of Stepping Into She, and I am Courtney. We have an amazing conversation tonight with Stephanie, who will be coming on and joining us in a few minutes. But I do have some music for you guys. I do have some questions prepared for everyone. So once we have our guests, we can get started. And I am looking forward to talking with her tonight and learning more about her journey and sharing that all with you tonight. So, as we wait, let's see. Oops. I'm trying to make sure this looks okay. Make sure it's all good. And I hope my connection is good. My mom's internet is a little shaky. So we're going to go with that. Everything will be okay for tonight. And yeah, let's see. Uh-oh. It might be my internet that's struggling tonight, but it looks like we have good connection. So I'm gonna, oh no, she's unable to join. All right, so let's see if we can get her in. Add her to the live. Let's see. Hey!
Okay.
I
So
was like, is it my internet? My internet might be crappy today.
no, I had to switch it to the best one. I was like, we're not having any interruptions. We are getting this on and popping. I was looking
No
forward to this
worries.
all week.
No, I know I'm at home and I know my mom. I'm like, my mom's internet is a little crappy. So I'm like, it could be her.
Right. Like we appreciate the efforts, but I'm like for social media these days, you need the good stuff, right?
You need the really good internet. Like,
Yes.
how are you? I know you traveled this weekend. How was your travel? How was traveling? How are you doing?
Yeah, so it was good. I was able to travel really safely, which really meant a lot to me. Okay, I see you, Danielle. So that meant a lot, and I hadn't seen my family in 8 months, so it was a really
It's a long time.
decision to come, and I love that the plane was basically empty. So I had a good travel experience, and I'm home, still doing everything I'm doing here, but it was good. It was good.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you finally got to see your family. Like I know being away from them for a long time is difficult.
Mhm.
And you flew. I actually took the train, so it might have been a shorter ride. Well,
Yeah.
you might have had a shorter ride, but I think the distance is a little shorter, so it's easier to go up and back. But I'm glad you got to go. That's so nice. I know the holidays is the best time to
Yes.
spend with family and see them and have an excuse to be around them, but then also have an excuse to leave. You're like, okay, the holiday's over.
Right. Like my time is up. This has been real.
Right.
That's
Exactly,
funny.
exactly.
Yes.
Um, so if you're ready, we can go ahead and jump in and start. I'm super excited about this conversation. We first met at the Bloggers Union event in New York City, which was really, really cool. It feels like so long ago though, with everything happening this year. So it was so nice to meet you and hear more about you and what you're doing and your journey and all that. So I am so excited that you agreed to come on and talk about that with everyone tonight. So for everyone listening, we have Stephanie. If you are listening now, please put your questions and comments in the chat. If you are listening later, please feel free to DM or put your comments or questions in the comment section. And then at the end, we will try to get to all the questions tonight. And if you are posting them later, we will definitely try to respond with some follow up. And I'm sure Stephanie will give you all of you listening a way to connect with her after this live is over. um, So let's go ahead and start. So tell us a little bit about Stephanie and who you are, and then what can people expect when they go to your page and find out a little bit more about who you are.
Okay, yeah. So first, I want to say thank you, Courtney, for setting up. I really love what you're doing. And
Thank you.
platform. I mean, when we connected, I was like, oh, okay, this girl is about something. She's about the self empowerment, woman empowerment. You're consistent, and you're just, continue to show up, and just having this avenue as a platform to really give women all the tidbits and the, that they need. I'm really honored to be here, to be honest. So
Thank you. I'm honored to have you on. Like I'm so excited about this. I'm so
okay.
excited. You might be one of the few people that I repost all of the stuff that you post. I love your content. Like I love your
Oh, thank you.
content.
Incorporate faith into it, because I feel like it has a lot to do with, faith, and really kind of what my faith journey has been. So to everybody who doesn't know me, I'm Stephanie. Nice to meet you guys. So when you come on my page, my initial initiative, I want you to feel like you can totally feel completely accepted being who you are. You can totally
Hmm.
feel accepted being, what you are, and essentially know that you are a person who's deserving of self-love. And your
Hmm.
story counts. Your story counts. Hey fam, I see all my family hopping on. So
Yes, you gotta love the fam that supports.
right. So your story counts. So on my page, you'll see self love, you'll see healing, you'll see my faith journey with Jesus Christ. You'll see my business, and how I manage entrepreneurship, and as my therapy profession. So you'll kind of see it all. And I think a lot of times people feel the need to apologize for some of the things that they love to do, and
Mm,
and feeling like they need to be labeled. And I want to invite people who choose to follow me to realize that they don't need to be labeled, that they can be exactly they are made to be.
yes, I love that. The authenticity there is amazing. I love that you promote that, but you also share your journey in that on your page as well. I really I appreciate that. I think sometimes people, like you said, they're afraid and they apologize for who they are, but being authentic and showing that it's such a light to the world. So thank you for sharing that with everyone. So you talked a bit about your journey and some of the things that you are doing and have done. So tell us a little bit about your journey through self-love and faith and how you got to those points in your life and how it blossomed to where you are now. I know that's a two-part question, so if you need me to repeat at the end, it's okay.
I, I, I'll try to go for it. So it's so funny because I didn't realize it, but my self love journey started a really long time ago. It started
Mm,
years ago, and I really didn't understand that it was self love. I thought it was more so, growing, but not necessarily. No, I'm every day choosing to love me. So.
mm,
My most vivid memory of starting this self love journey was when I was competing in the Miss America pageant system, and my platform, yeah, so I did that for a couple of years, and my platform was about empowering women for self esteem and really loving the woman within, which is my platform now, teaching people how to love the woman within. But funny how I picked a platform that I didn't actually exemplify. and
mm,
and I learned that through my not my therapy services, but my pageant experience, that
mm,
I was constantly being critiqued, and on the stage, and having to put my best foot forward, and realizing that I was actually doing things to please man, and for finding validation, and I was, secretly, really doubting myself. I remember one
mm,
pageant I went to where I was completely, I did all the work. I did all the work, exercise, did everything that I was supposed to be doing. And yet I doubted whether or not I would even have a shot to be there, whether I would be
wow.
qualified to be there. And the funny thing is God laughs at us oftentimes when we're doubting ourselves, because I placed first runner up in that pageant.
Wow.
Right, and it was a margin of a point that I had indifference. So
Mm,
it was a lot of those things where I had to see through reality that, hey, there's times where I doubt myself. There's times where I'm second guessing myself because I don't think that I measure up to a standard. And so it started then in 2015, and now it's really actualized into, whoa, okay, hold on. We can say that this is an intentional self-love journey. It is an
Mm.
intentional way for me to be so in tune with who I am, and really identifying the difference between me seeking validation versus me seeking, you know, uh, like me actually choosing to love myself.
Mm. And I like how you touched on the seeking validation and choosing to love yourself, because I think people don't realize that in some ways they're two different things, and you can feel like you're doing them both at the same time.
Hmm.
I don't know if you feel like that, if you felt like that was something that you were experiencing and then came to a point where you had to separate the two and really stay focused on, doing for yourself and loving yourself. Did you feel like that's something you went through as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think there was always this like nuance of balancing the, back and forth, and recognizing what are these patterns that we're just used to doing,
Mm,
just things that we're used to saying yes to, things that we really want to say no to. We're used to, really feeling like painting ourselves in an image that, because we're expected to, meet that standard. Even in certain relationships, we operate based off of habit, and we never really
mm,
take the time to question whether or not those things are actually suppression of self, or whether they're actually, us trying to, be validated by that particular relationship. So it really is a nuance. And when you actually sit down and recognize if something feels off, that's usually the time where you can be sensitive and say, what was that thing that felt off? Like, why am I feeling
right.
like this is not natural? And it could be the same thing that you've been doing forever, but yet something feels off. And those are the times where you can really zone in. So that's kind of like my therapy coming out a little bit.
I was like, yes, here it comes.
Yeah.
I felt that because my therapist tells me that too. I was like, okay, she's bringing the therapy out. I love it though.
1 second, real quick.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, I had to wait.
Okay.
All right.
It's okay. I had to tell my mom, I put a sign on the door like, do not knock
Yeah.
until after 8:25.
Yeah, you can go. She wants to make sure she's not gonna disturb.
Oh,
So
that's nice because my mom is the opposite. She'll actually knock on the door and I'll be like, I'm doing something right. She's like, oh, I'm sorry.
well,
Oh my God.
so she was like, hey.
Oh, you gotta love your mothers. So I like how you talked about that relationship piece because I read your blog, and one of the most recent posts that you have talks about the relationship that you ended and all of that. So I love that journey that you kind of talked about and how you went through all that, not to just find self, but really to empower yourself after all of that. So I love that post, and how you were just vulnerable and honest about that journey that you went through. And as you talk about it now, I can hear and kind of resonate with some of the things that you're talking about, especially when you say the patterns that you usually have, and that you just kind of keep falling into that. I think sometimes we assume that it's just something that we're doing, but not really realizing it's connected to something that we've experienced. So I think that's really powerful. Um, so with that, and you talk a lot about faith on your journey, how were you able to kind of bring your faith with you on that? Was it something, did you always have your faith grounded and it kind of was like the leading, driving like force, or was it something that kind of was rocky? Like I know my faith road was rocky. Was yours rocky? And then it kind of came to a point where you were really built your own relationship with God, or how did that kind of come into your journey as well?
Yeah, no, that's such a good question. And I think all of us has had this like rocky stage um, of college, right? Where we're just
Yes.
like, we're gonna just kind of do what we want to do. So I think that was part one of my rocky stage. I think even when I reconnected and recommitted my life, I went through some hard times, and then you start to wonder, like, God, you actually don't love me. So I'm actually, because it says here, you're supposed to kind of work everything out for my good, and I don't see anything working out, right? I actually feel more abandoned. So there have been times where I felt that way. I love that you brought up my ex, my relationship, which I labeled that toxic relationship, because that was a significant point in my life where I felt like God had abandoned me. I was like, God, I thought this was the one. I thought you were kind of steering it forward. And, it's funny because when we're operating in such and when I say toxic, it doesn't always have to look like physicality. It doesn't always have to look like, somebody is actually harming you physically. Right. It can look like actually it can look like self-sabotage. It can look like we receive sabotage. It can look like we settle. It can look like we lower our standards to attain the destination. And so that was a lot for me and my ex, where, I can paint the picture of how he was, this, and he was great, and he was what I wanted, but essentially it was suppressing self. It wasn't self-love. It was self-depreciation, it was really devaluing me is what I'm trying to say. And so in that moment, I felt like God had abandoned me. It was what I call a breaking point. When I found out last year, this huge, horrible news that he had a whole child somewhere, right? We can keep it real tonight.
Girl.
People don't want to talk about, right? We can say all the abstract, like, oh, it was a bad relationship. No, like, it was like finding out the worst news possible, and it completely ruining the image and the goals in which you have for yourself. That was a big eye-opener for me, because this whole time I was trying to push and push and push because I thought this was something I was supposed to be in, and God was like, but you thought wrong, because you're not even operating in who I created you to be. You are operating in what you think you should be and expecting what you think you should have, but know and believe that the person who I've called you to be is never going to accept anything less than a high quality relationship. You will not one day find out that there is a child there for the last 2 years by George. By George, right? And and what God really had to show me, even though in the moment I felt abandoned, like, God, why? And he was like, daughter, what? Like, this is not a self-blame thing, but there are periods in this relationship in which you saw my sign. In which you recognize that this don't feel right. And that's kind of what I alluded to earlier. It don't feel right. This feels a little and it's not so off where it's blatant. It's just off where it doesn't really feel like I'm showing up. It doesn't really stepping into me. I don't feel like me. I feel like this is a thing that's kind of making me kind of raise my eyebrow a little bit, but it's fine. We'll just go with it. And all those things kind of get suppressed because we are actively trying to chase after what it is that we think we should have and who it is that we think we should be. And so God's like, okay, the time's up. And when that time comes up, you might feel like he's abandoned you. Actually, daughter, he's rescued you. He is rescuing.
Yes. Yes. I'm sorry. I was like holding back the shout the entire time you were talking because I was like, I was feeling all of it. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Girl. Valerie said facts. Big facts.
Yes.
Rescuing you. He is redeeming your time, sis.
Yes.
He is redeeming, resurrecting you. Like that moment of collapse, it changed everything for me. Changed everything for me. And it made me identify, you know what, God? What else am I holding on to that is not for me? That is not You didn't label my name on this. Why are you
Right.
trying to tattoo my name on this? The ink ain't working. No wonder
Right.
it's slipping off. No wonder. Because it was never supposed to be on there. And that
Right.
makes sense, God, because you would never give me anything that would make me feel suppressed and less
Mm.
than what I deserve. And
Yes.
I'm here.
And yes, she is preaching. She is preaching tonight. Absolutely. On a Tuesday, okay? Yeah, Bible study, okay? We about to get this word. Y'all better listen up.
Listen.
And I love that you talk about that because I feel like a lot of people in their faith, they struggle with it during those times because they expect God to always show you, always do the light things, like the good things. You always want to feel the good things, not always recognizing that God is going to put certain things in your path to ensure that you get where you need to go and to challenge you and to really make sure that you're focused and sometimes to try you to see where you're at in your life. Like you got to be open to that. And I love how you talk about, you know, how you felt abandoned a little bit, because I think people are afraid to admit that.
Yeah.
To admit that they kind of felt abandoned in their faith because they're used to the good parts. So when you talk about that a little bit, how was you able to kind of go from that to the next step? Because sometimes people get lost, and it's based on your personal journey. Sometimes people get lost in that in between phase from like feeling abandoned to getting to the other side.
Mm.
Was there something that you were able to do to really get to that other side, or was it just like continuing and pushing through, like just sharing maybe from your experience what that was?
Yeah, and it is so real that mental health is real, like
Mm,
straight period. Because people often don't want to talk about the depression that comes in, the anxiety that comes in, the low self-esteem that comes in. You can know without a shadow of the doubt that that person wasn't for you, but because there is an abandonment there, you are now reaping the consequences of a separation. And
mm,
regardless of whether you are the top tier, you know, high self-esteem, or you are struggling through self-esteem, it's going to create that sense of loss.
right.
So that sense of loss is what I was faced with when I found out that traumatic news. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was in the bed crying,
Mm,
crying. And I'm a faith-filled, reading my word, praying, serving in church. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about
right.
that depression that comes, that disappointment, that despair. Let's talk
Mm,
about the hard stuff, because a lot of people want to get to that destination of arriving. And this is something I was even talking to my clients, say, you want to get to that point where you arrive. But baby girl, you're gonna have to grieve through.
right.
You're gonna have to process through. Everybody wants to be a butterfly. Nobody wants to be a caterpillar. Everybody wants to be a butterfly, but nobody want to go through the metamorphosis.
Mm,
That is the process of becoming. This is
right.
why this section is called becoming. It's
Mm-hmm.
because of that process of acknowledging the fact that you are disappointed, that your self-esteem took a hit, that you are anxious all the time, that you may be alone, that God will not provide, that you will not get through another day without thinking about so and so, or thinking about the job that you lost, or thinking about you know the person that you lost.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, that's really what it looks like. It's taking that step to acknowledge the presence of pain.
Mm,
Take that step to acknowledge the presence of pain. Don't push past it. Don't suppress it. Allow yourself to process through it, to breathe through it. There's no way
mm,
that you're going to deliver that baby if you don't go through the pregnancy pain, if you
right.
go through the contractions. And these are contractions, but the best thing is that God has a plan. And so each and every single one of those contractions are meant to push you forward.
Mm,
Some of them are going to hurt more than others, but they're meant to push you forward. And I went through a series of contractions.
mm,
Left school, dropped out of school, because this was a point where I had decided to go back to school for pre-med. And I said, so who told me I'm supposed to do this too? Confused. A year ago, I was not doing therapy. I was not. I
Mm.
was not. I was a full-time or part-time student pushing for something that I thought I was trying to tattoo my purpose onto too.
Mm.
And God said, see, what we're going to do is we're going to collapse. And it's going to hurt.
Yes.
And you're going to, Chanel laughing, and you're going to process through.
Mm.
These contractions are going to hurt. But baby, do I
Right.
plan on the other side of this? I did not rush that plan. I did not know what this. I could not tell you a year ago where I was going to be today. I could not tell you. Not a seed in my mind could tell you.
Mm.
There was so much uncertainty. There was so much unknown. All I knew was the pain and the revelation that I was in something that I no longer could continue to carry and fake through.
Mm.
No longer.
Word. Right.
And so I had to endure that process of going through the contractions. And I didn't know I was going through contractions. I didn't know I was birthing something new, Courtney girl. I didn't
Mm.
know. I didn't know that. All I knew was the pain. But God,
Right.
and what, 3 months later, out of thin air, I get the position I'm doing. I'm back into therapy. I'm permitted up in the state. All of this stuff that not a brain cell was in my head that, oh yeah, this is gonna happen.
Mm.
I
Mm.
happen. I'm gonna end this relationship and I'm gonna start therapy in about 6 months and I'm gonna do well and I'm gonna be a business success and I'm gonna move into a better place. No, not at all. Not one, nothing. I knew nothing. And so what happens when you know nothing, y'all? What happens? And this is a faith, interject faith here.
Yes.
Surrender.
That's the word right there.
Render.
Yes. 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 I got that like written down, highlighted on my paper. Yes. And that's the hardest part.
Girl.
That is the hardest part to do that because like you said, you didn't know you were going to be on this side. You had a completely different plan. And God came in and said, if you let me do my work, I'm going to show you what you're worth. And it is amazing to hear that in a short amount of time, you went from this to that and you're just elevating. Like, that is amazing. That is amazing. I'm sorry. I was holding back my shout. I was like, yes, she's giving me a word tonight. Yes. They telling you like you got a future in becoming, a pastor. So God might be calling you, girl.
Lord see fit.
The Lord see fit might be calling you tonight. Right. So in your journey of you said you were a part-time student and now you're a full-time therapist. Talk about that shift. Like, how did you go through that shift? And I ask a lot of women all the time, some women who become entrepreneurs, like picking up and just dropping everything and going to something else, that's scary for a lot of people. So how did you go through that process? And I know your faith was definitely a part of it. So talk a little bit about that shift and what that feeling was like and like the preparation, if there was any, or just the building up to, or or just stepping into it. Like, what was that for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, such a good question. One of the things to keep in note is that when you leave something that wasn't for you, that was suppressing you, you're automatically going to feel like you can breathe again. Are going to fill up with air again. And you won't even know, you'll be like, whoa, I feel like I am less depressed. I'm less critical on myself. I'm less angry about my outcome. And I am really in a space of stillness. And so in being able to breathe again, even though it can be hard experiencing the pain of a loss or a separation or a heartbreak, fill in the blank, it allows you to also be open to the possibilities of doing what it is that you were meant to do, right? So I was open to trying, right? Even when I started, I was seeing like two patients in a month. Like, it did not start like just like boom like that. You know, I had
Right.
to up my clientele. I had to position myself to prepare to receive this honor of counseling patients and seeing people and helping them through their own journey. And
Mm.
one of the things that really was helpful is going from a place where you couldn't really breathe and you were trying to survive. It's almost like you're suffocating, but you don't know you're suffocating because you're used to survival and you're used to pushing through. If you are a strong,
That's the word.
you're gonna just push through and make do, right? But you don't realize like the consequences. You don't realize that you're actually struggling for air. Then all
Right.
you get a whoa, I just took a what? Okay. So it allows you to then want to breathe easy
Mm.
and to really take in tune, take a pace. It doesn't always mean that you're just all of a sudden going to whirlwind into what it is that you're supposed to be doing. You are allowed to pace yourself. You
Mm.
are small beginnings count too. You are allowed to learn step by step because now there's not a pressure to perform. There's not a pressure to upkeep. When you are in your purpose, girl, you are paced. You
Mm.
have vision. You are a lot more confident,
Mm.
and you
Yes.
like, okay, I can do this. You know, one client at a time. When I got my first client, I was sweating bullets. I was, I can't believe they picked me. Hey, and I still have that client to this day, and he said this is the longest I've ever been in therapy. And I said,
Wow.
he said, I love these sessions.
Mm.
Was that was the Lord. When I tell you,
Mm.
what did he say to me? He said, it's okay to pick up as you go and prepare as you ready yourself.
Mm.
You are not going to miss out on your timing if you don't go full throttle into what it is that you feel like you have to do now. There is no type of like a sense of false urgency. You'll always feel an urgency to do what you're called to do, but it won't be a false urgency as if you're going to miss something, as if the door is going to,
Ooh.
and now all of a sudden, if you miss this entry, you got to wait, 5-10 years. And
Right.
that's not God's plan for you. He wants
Mm.
to prepare,
That's your plan.
right? That's that's fear-based. That's fear-based. We often feel like, well, I need to learn how to manage it all and go full throttle. No. There is a balance between self-care and doing the things that you're preparing yourself or even wanting to do. There's
Mm.
a delicate balance, and when you are in your purpose, you can pace yourself and you can prepare yourself because you know that more is coming. You know that
Mm.
when you are in your purpose, it's an abundant mindset. It's not a scarcity mindset. Like you got to go chase and make it work. No, that was the old plan, right? The old
Right.
plan, you had to chase it. You had to keep the man around. You got to work to keep the job around, work to keep whatever around. But this one, it's yours.
Mm.
It's labeled yours. So you can prepare and pace yourself. And if it's feeling heavy, you can take a mental health day. You can
Mm.
now you're learning how to breathe, right?
Right.
You were suffocating. It's okay to learn how to breathe and breathe at a pace that feels empowering.
Mm. That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. I think this, this, all of it is good. Get my thoughts together. I gotta get back to the questions, but this is good because that whole breath that you take after is like the breath of life. Like God is now like, let me breathe into you everything that I have planned,
Mhm.
and letting it go is so hard. How was you able to step out of your plan and into God's plan? Like, how was you able to do that? Like for someone listening who may be in their journey of faith and maybe in that position that you were in, what was that like? What was that pivoting moment for you?
Yeah. Sometimes we give ourselves a little bit too much credit for
Mm.
moments that happen, and God allows them to happen so he gets the glory out of it and it becomes for our good. So I could not tell you one thing that happened except something bad happened to me.
Mm.
completely collapsed. And God
Mm.
said, I can work with brokenness,
Mm.
work with despair. I can work with surrender. I can
Mm.
the lack of self-sufficiency. All I've known was self-sufficiency and survival. Now God is replacing it with God sufficiency and God fidence.
Mm. Mm.
There was that point in which I spent my time striving and doing and figuring it out. And I got to the point where something bad happened to me and I couldn't figure it out anymore. And that's when I decided that I was going to stop doing my plan because it wasn't working. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
doing what was not working. So it meant that I had to stop doing,
Mm.
start listening and waiting.
Mm.
I had to start listening and waiting. My ears still work, even though I was broken. The time was still passing, even though I was broken.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, and if there was anything that I did, it was to wait and it was to listen and it was to cry and it was to be disappointed and it was to feel despair and it was to process and it was to show up for the prayer meetings even though I didn't, always pray. It was to receive prayer even though I could barely write in my journal. It was
Mm.
anger. It was to show up for my therapy that I've been going to for 2 years now. It was to listen to church and show up when I can. It was to take a mental health day when I couldn't. It was to keep doing what I know that was good for me, but also stop doing things to try to fix it.
Mm. Mm.
I couldn't fix it. And I didn't know how to fix it. And if I tried to fix it, I probably wouldn't be on this call with you today.
That girl.
Totally.
Okay.
Okay, because God lets us have our free will. And this was me deciding, God, I can't. I'm gonna show up to church, even though I'm sitting here mad. I won't. Some days I worship, some days I won't.
Mm.
God's not afraid of your real, authentic feeling. He's not. He's not intimidated by that.
Right.
What are you gonna do so much that it's gonna scare the creator of the universe? What are you going to do so much that will scare him?
Mm.
He's already seen it all. In fact, he created you in your mother's womb. He knew how you would be acting, how stank we would be acting. He said,
How out of line we would be this whole time.
okay. So stop trying to act like you don't feel stank and just be stank. Because
Right.
I can work through that. I can't work through the make believe, but I the reality of what you're feeling. And so yeah, we can kind of cover it up where I prayed 50 prayers and I attended 25 different churches and I wrote 15 different journal entries in my journal, all that. And guess what? We still doing all that whenever we want to do it, all that, right? Because we still gonna do what we want to do. But there is that point where we recognize, listen, I'm broken and I'm ready for a resurrection. And this cannot be resurrected by me.
Mm.
Point. Surrender really just means to lay it down.
Mm.
It means to lay it down and stop fighting to control something that you laid down.
That's a word. Stop fighting. I'm writing this down. Okay, I'm going to quote that. To control something you laid down. I needed that today. Thank you. Because that's I think we all struggle with that. Like we say we want to give it to God, but then we still holding on like, but God, you ain't do it the way I wanted you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So let me try it this way. Or let me try it that way. Or let me do it like this. And it's like you gotta let it go. You gotta surrender it and lay it down. Like that is a word. Okay. I needed that today. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was saying yes, girl, when I tell you.
Yes.
And this is a mental health piece. This is how you can kind of think through it. Compare the track record. Who has more successful attempts at fixing the situation, you or God?
My track record is 0.
I'll give myself a 0.5, right? That one time but it's like I gave you everything that you have. So
Mm,
Is it really?
mm, mm. That track record, you pull up that track record, you'd be like, you ain't really got it the way you thought you had it.
I can't run against you, Lord. You know, you got it, Lord. You know. So what am I gonna do? And God's like, just huff and puff and be mad. I got it.
Yes, yes.
That's
But I love how you talk about like God can work with the real and not the fake. Like it's you always hear people, and like you said in the beginning, just being afraid to be who they are and not realizing like in that transparency and vulnerability and authenticity is when the work and the growth actually starts happening. And I think you talked about that earlier, and you like one of the girls in the comments said like you was preaching today, okay? He was giving it, and I was like, I couldn't even write anything down. I was just listening. Um, but I think that's so important, especially when you're talking about in your faith journey. I think some people are just afraid to say, like you said, that they were upset, or they were depressed, or they were sad, or they were disappointed. And like God's not gonna be upset with you because you were disappointed. He knows. He knows how you're gonna feel. He knows what your heart desires. So really just being open and honest with yourself first, and then you can be open and honest with God and yourself at the same time. But you really got to be open and honest with God and yourself at the same time to really be able to get that growth.
absolutely.
Yes, that was good.
Well,
So as you
self-love.
go ahead.
That's self-love. It's self-love is deciding that I can authentically accept how I feel without judgment or making me feel small for how I feel.
Mm,
I can do that. For me,
yes.
if I low key want other people to accept my feelings, how I feel without judging me, then why am I sitting here being mad at myself because I'm mad for a
Mm,
reason?
right.
Right?
Right.
We're disappointed. That's self-love. Self-love
Yeah.
that when I look in this mirror, I'm not gonna sit here and start judging myself for how I feel. I'm going to radically accept who I am and how I feel in this moment.
Mm, yes. Yes. That's good. That's good. I love that radical. I've heard that too. Radical acceptance is like the epitome of like just owning who you are, and that's really what it's called. In that moment.
Mhm.
So so as you now as a therapist, how much of your journey kind of influences or supports your clients in their journey? Do you use like is do you see yourself like in that journey? How do you connect the two? How is that important? And how do you do that with not how do you do that with your clients, but how do you connect that to your therapy
Mhm.
and your role as a therapist?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I could not have had a better time to do therapy. I mean, God clearly knew, because it is years. I got my master's degree 5 years ago, and it
Mm,
5 years of work plus the 2 years to get the degree. 7 years of content, if you will, into
mm-hmm,
therapy appointment. And one of the things that really always surprised me the most, it always surprises me how much we really go through the same problems and we really are
mm,
more alike than we think. We really do feel so uncomfortable with the opinions of others. We really do focus on the impression that we leave on others. We really are so scared to express how we feel to a loved one. We really are afraid of rejection. We really are afraid of abandonment. We really have been abandoned. We really do
mm,
have mama and daddy issues. We really do have a struggle with showing up and believing in ourselves. And I see so much of this. I mean, I see right now almost 20 something clients and
girl, wait, pause. Okay, we just said how, you started this 6 months ago. You got 20 some clients. Okay, that deserves a clap. Okay, okay, we need to acknowledge that. We need to acknowledge that journey. Okay,
listen, girl,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was like,
you right
I gotta congratulate you on that.
because it went from 1 to 5 to 10 to now 25 to close to 30. And
Right. And then coming from like school to now this, and now you're at 20 clients. Like, look at that. Look,
girl,
yes. Okay. That's the journey. Okay. Yes. I love it. I love it.
and all pace. It was all pace because I always
Mm,
went into the whole 30 clients, straight from jump and try to get all that. And I would not have
right.
appreciated the journey. I really wouldn't have. And,
Right.
one of the themes that I see is that we really are experiencing human together. We really are experiencing levels of understanding ourselves and self-esteem and confidence and love and relationships, money issues, and we really are experiencing the whole gamut. And so one of the cool things about my therapy experiences is that I can bring the whole self, through a therapeutic
Mm,
lens, bring the whole self. And really, every time I want my clients to feel that they are completely validated in who they are, it's helping them see the person in the mirror and helping them love that person who they see at every
mm,
of their lives. And so we really do have the same things over and over and over again. There's nothing new underneath the sun. It's really the same reoccurring things. And so it's really normalizing those things, making you feel you're not crazy if you doubt yourself. You're not crazy if you have these critical thoughts. You're not crazy that you're heartbroken over a guy, or a woman. It doesn't matter. You're not crazy.
right.
So normal. And just like it's normal to experience that, it's also a very healthy and real process that you can heal through that. And there is another side. And that's
Mm,
because this is a shared live experience, and it's empowering for me to help walk them through each step of the way and also instill hope.
mm. I love that. I love that. Instilling hope and walking them through that journey. That's so important. Yes, that's so important. And yes, that process and that pace, 20 clients, like that is amazing. I love that. I love that. I love that. So you talk a lot about, wait, do I still have you? Uh-oh. It might be my internet. Wait, you're back. Okay, you're back. Okay, you're here. You can hear me. We're good. Oh no. Uh-oh. I think this might be me. She froze. I know. Ah. Oh, we lost her. Okay, we're gonna wait for her to come back. Because this conversation, y'all, this is so good. Okay. This was so good. And we're gonna get to your, yes, you can see me. Okay, you can see me. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Um, we're gonna get to your question, Fiza. If I said that right, we're gonna wait to see if we can get Stephanie back on. If you guys have any other questions, please put them in the chat. She was, she definitely was giving us a word tonight. We definitely, thank you. We definitely came to hear a word tonight. So I'm hoping that she comes back, and we can. Okay, she's trying now. Yes, yes. Let's see if we can get her in. Um, and we can hear some good, good. Thank you. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you for staying on and trooping through with us tonight. I always say when you're at your parents' house, sometimes the internet is never, you never get the same internet that you get when you're at home. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. They need to have really good internet at our parents' house. Um, so let's see, it's connecting. Okay, you're back.
That was so stressful.
It's okay. It's okay. We got a whole group. We got a whole group of troopers still on asking questions in the chat. So
Oh,
don't worry, we had your back. We was waiting. We was like, no, Pastor Stephanie got to come back to the call tonight.
I was over here high fives.
I was saying, like, the parents' internet is never, you're like, oh man.
Yes.
I'm
so
back. One of the questions we have is, what are some ways to show self-love and build your relationship with God in college?
That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that I knew what I know now in college.
Right.
Because so college is can be a trying time because it's usually the time where we are experiencing a lot of different things. We're learning more about ourselves, but not really realizing that we're learning more about ourselves because we're going through like the friendship and meeting a whole bunch of people. We have a lot more friends in college than we usually do when we're a lot older. And so one of the things that I recommend is consistently having self check-ins, right? You can take a check-in with yourself and say, okay, as I'm experiencing this whole college thing, I would say experience all because it's only 4 years, right? Whether you're virtual or not, it's a lifetime experience. I love my college experience, but having those, even having a little routine that you can instill maybe in the morning or at night where you have a check-in with self. Ask yourself questions that maybe nobody's really asking you. Ask yourself, hey, how did I feel today? What was my mood today? Why do I think my mood was this today? And not necessarily where do I want to be in 5 years, because it often puts this pressure of the future. It's more present check-ins, right? It's what is it that I feel like I want right now? Or what is it that I feel like I need right now? And what made me feel the most alive today, right? What did I learn about myself today? What did I learn about, what was the hardest thing for me to experience today? So asking yourself, some questions, and you get to be your audience. You get to answer your own questions. And so if you take that little, 5 to 7 minutes, you're going to take the time anyway. You might as well take it to do a self-love check-in where you can, ask yourself kind of some present day questions, present moment questions, where it gives you more clarity on what you're feeling, what you want, what it is that you feel like you need at that moment. What is it that you feel like you learned about yourself? Because self-love is really a journey of learning. It's really a journey of becoming. And when I say becoming, it's like exactly stepping into it's becoming more of who you are already designed to be. So oftentimes it's taking off the layers that we get thrown onto ourselves. And it's by focusing on those aspects that are already inside of us. So step into that which is already inside of you, right? That. And ask yourself some of these self-reflective questions that no one else is asking. Like, hey, how did you, what did you learn about yourself today? No one's going to really ask you that, right? But you can ask you that. And you're one of the most important people. There's not one place you can go where you can't find you. Not one. So you might as well have a relationship with you and ask yourself, really pertinent questions that give you more clarity on who you are. When it comes to your development in faith, plugging in. I mean, the way that I grew was by plugging in, reading resources and joining different churches, listening to different pastors. There was some faith groups on campus. The reason why is because sometimes faith can be identified as a personal journey with Jesus Christ, and it is. But the best part is you don't have to take that journey alone. You can actually learn through community. You can actually learn through the various different resources that are out there, so you never feel like you're alone. Now, the self-love journey, that's between you and you, right? But the faith journey, that's between you and God. But God is a God who loves people. And so you can really learn these things by connecting, by staying plugged in. And even if you have within your self-love journey, reading a little book, listening, looking at a blog, like Stepping Into She has an amazing blog where she talks about, Courtney talks about her self-love journey. Yeah, like there are things out there too where you can tap in. And so self-love for you, to the person who asked it, is going to be about you deciding to give you time to learn more about you.
Mm, that's so good. That's so good. And then we also have, and I think you touched on it a little bit earlier, but someone asked, what do you do to keep the faith? Um, so I don't know if you have one or two follow-ups or different thoughts that you didn't share earlier to kind of respond to that question. I know, like I said, you touched on it a little bit, but feel free to go ahead and take that because it's so good. It's so good.
Listen, it is hard. Let's just keep it real, okay? It is hard because things, we are creatures of habit and desire, and when things don't go according to how we planned it to go or what we wanted, we get real mad. We get real mad. But the thing is about your faith is God's not intimidated by your emotions. He's not.
Hmm.
You need to write out your angry emotions. If you need to, vent, even, so it's a weirdest thing. But if you're not a person who likes to journal or write, pull up your voice memo and vent to God. Literally pretend like you're talking
Mm,
to God. It's really about releasing some of those things that are the obstacles that keep us from keeping the faith. And it's disappointments, it's despair, it's not really understanding God's plan. It's all of those things. And so you got to let those things out. You got to vent and release those things. You got to let them out naturally in the way that feels right for you. And as you release those things, it becomes easier for you to process your faith, and it becomes easier for you to go through, the day to day of praying and meditating and worshiping and reading the word. It becomes less of the motions because you know that God knows how you feel. Like, you and God are like this. Like, I'm not over here
hmm
act like the good Christian. I'm over here like, listen, okay?
Right.
However it is that you got to go listen, that's the person God wants to see. That's the person that God is not intimidated by. That's the person who God wants to be like, all right, boo, let's come to sit at the table. Let's have a conversation. One
Yes.
on my channel too, it's a video where I did a podcast about how to hear God's voice. So if you feel like you're also struggling with like hearing God's voice and knowing like God speaks to his sheep, if you're struggling with that aspect, please go watch that video and look at this. Lots of resources out there that teach you how to hear God's voice, because God wants to talk to you and he's talking to you all the time. No one has more feelings than the Lord, okay? Like, he gets it. He gets it. He's the originator of it. And so he has good things to say to you about the bad things that are keeping you down.
Mm. He has good things to say to you about the bad things that are keeping you down. That's good. That's good. I need to write that down too. I need to write that down. I've been like taking notes, and you're gonna see all of this on the page, but that was definitely good. Um, so you talked a little bit about like your channel. You have so many other things going on in your life too, not just like a full-time therapist, but you write, you have businesses, you have multiple streams of income. How do you juggle it all? Like you have your faith journey, you have your self-care journey, you have your therapist hat on, entrepreneur hat on. You have so many things. How do you juggle all of that? And how does faith continue to guide that when you're juggling all of your many 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 talents
Mhm.
and purpose filled journeys?
Yeah. I love the word that you use, Courtney, because it's really juggle. That there are not all the balls are in your hand, right? There's some that are flying that you're just trusting to fly based off of the work that you did while it was in your hand. Let that fly, do some work on something else. Juggle, let something else fly, do something, work on something else. Let that one fly, and it's a rotation. So you're never not working on anything. You're just taking turns on working on everything. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing about juggle. That's really what it is. Some things are going to need your attention, and some things are going to need your patience. That's all it is. That's really all it is. Because there's no way that I can do any of this without God teaching me what to have in my hand and what to let fly for the day.
Mm.
Lord, what do you want me to have in my hand today? And what do I need to let fly? Some days I work more hours on my business, and some days I barely run a business. Listen, you're going to get about 30 minutes of my time, but it's going to be the best 30 minutes of my time so I can let you fly and I'll catch you again tomorrow. Right?
Mm.
Is, I can barely show myself love and grace, because I'm running around seeing clients doing clinical notes. But you best believe that as that thing is flying, girl, I'm about to be in the sauna, painting my
Yes.
and that's the thing. There's a ebb and flow. There's an ebb and flow in everything. I don't know not one person who is so robotic that they do everything at every time, because that's actually impossible. How can you work on 50 million things at one time in 1 minute? That's impossible. And that's actually low quality of work. But what you can do is you can juggle. You can have
Mm.
things working for you while you're working on the things that you got to work on right now.
Ooh. Let me
Okay?
write that down. Let me write that down.
That's that
Some
trust.
things, yes, working for you while you're working on something else.
hmm And that's that
Mm.
factor, because you know that God's not going to let that ball, fly to the sky, it's not going to fly off field. No, you're trusting God with the with that rotation. You're trusting.
And that's important. Yes. Yes. That trust, because a lot of times you see people burnt out because they're like, I'm doing so many things. And the trust to know that God is going to continue to work on that while you're here. He's still going to build that over here is important. And like I said, that's also another piece that I feel like a lot of people, particularly women, I feel like we struggle with that a lot because we do so many things. Like we're afraid to put something down because it's like I'm not giving it enough attention, or I'm not pouring into it, I'm not doing this. But really being able to trust that it's still working while you're taking a break.
Yeah, that's really, girl, because the biggest way it impacts us women, even, women with children, mommy guilt is so big. And that 1 second that you have to go, run a business transaction or take a business call, or, go make a sale somewhere, you're thinking about, the two little kids that are home saying, where's mommy? And this is where the trust factor comes. No one loves your kids more than God. No one.
Mm.
You can't compete. And so you say, God, I trust you for the hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or even a day that I am not doing mommy work and doing this other purpose work that you gave me, because I know you love my kids more than me. And I know you got them. And then when I come right back, oh, they got all of me. They got all of me.
Mm.
And for some of us without kids, it can look like working on our side hustle dream in the, in the midst of having a career. Well, I feel so bad because I'm so behind at work, and it's constantly weighing things and saying, well, one is more important than the other. And who said that? Who told
Mm.
that?
Mm. Right.
All what I gave you, I gave it to you all. So let me show you how to juggle. All of it is
Mm.
important. And that's the thing. We say, well, this is more important than the other thing. And actually, it's on an equal playing field, because they're the balls that God gave you. If he don't want you to have it, he's going to take the ball away. Trust me, he will.
Hello.
But they are all equivalent to God because he assigned them to you. But know that each
Mm.
of them get their turn. They all get their turn.
Mm.
And trusting God with what you get to do in this moment.
That's real. You saw me like fervently writing down, like, let me make sure I get all of that. so, so I have it. um, and I love definitely. I definitely cannot wait to just listen to this again and get so many more notes. I'm so excited. I'm so filled from this conversation. It's such a powerful, fulfilling conversation. And just hearing you talk about all of these things are amazing, amazing, amazing. Um, so what are some of the things, and I know, like I said, you have your multiple businesses and your faith journey and your self-care journey. Um, you know, as a success coach and a therapist and a self-love coach and all of that, what are some tips or things that you can share with women from your journey as they are building their journey to not just faith, but also just success, wellness and overcoming, like you said, radical self-acceptance? What are one or two things that you can share with the ladies listening to kind of build their relationship and build their self foundation?
Yeah, I love that question. Um, so a couple things that I would love, to keep in mind is that your journey is so individualized and it's customized for you. It has your DNA, your blueprint. And so do not despise what you had to go through to be able to see where you are today. This is just one
Mm.
page of the book. But the other pages, they count too, whether it was, riddled with pain and regret. Let's not despise that, because if we despise any part of that, we almost negate a part of our journey. And we say,
Mm.
that is not me, right? You want to go? Okay, one second. I'm almost done. So, making that imperative note, like, this is your book, and your book has some ink that's like really messy, and sometimes
Mm.
shame associated with that. I mean, I can tell you guys how many things that I can look back and feel ashamed about. I went back to school and spent all this money and to totally revert, right? A huge detour. And a lot of people can be like, wow, like that was a waste. But actually that was God literally teaching and having me go through in order to be here today. And that's the I
Mm.
part into the people that I meet, into my clients, into my every asset, into my team. And so, removing that scent, or if that shame is there, let it be said, let it be known, but know that, shame is apologizing for who you are, and guilt is
Mm.
apologizing for what you did. You don't have to apologize for who you are. Maybe there are some times we apologize for what we did, but be very careful to not let that make you shameful for who you are. This is not who you are.
Mm.
It may have been in the past, but this is not who you are. You are redeemed. You are God's child. You are loved. You have an amazing plan. And where you are now counts. It counts. And what you went through counts. God will use it. God will
Right.
use it. And so really understanding that each of us have that individual customized journey, and that there's no part of us that we can sit there and erase. It's an ink. It's an ink, but guess what? It's in God's ink, and He's gonna bless it. He's gonna use it.
Mm.
He's going to really help that, be part of your story. And the last thing, the second part I will say to that is, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Don't be afraid.
Ooh, yes.
Listen, whether that is therapy, that is books, that is one of the best decisions I made was investing into my coach. I talk about her all the time. Whether that is programs and master classes, whether it is a spa package, okay, a manicure, a pedicure, whether you are doing nails at home, whether you are, whatever it is investment in yourself. Don't be afraid
Mm.
to invest in yourself, because you can bet on you. God bets on
Yes.
you.
Hello. Okay.
Might as well throw the
Okay.
chips in, baby girl, because you're going to win.
Right.
You're going to win.
Right. Right.
So you might as well
Yes.
put the most amount of dividends in you. Put all them
Yes.
puppies into you. You better buy your stock.
Yes.
Stocks.
Hello.
How many shares can I get? Can I get the unlimited shares? I'm going to keep
Mm.
investing into myself every day, because I know every
Mm.
part that I invest, God's going to use it. God's going to use it. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
then pour out and bless other people,
Mm.
because I'm
Mm. Yes. That's the word. Girl, the claps and the yes and the come on are going in the chat, okay? Okay, yes, yes. Invest in yourself. And I like how you said, and just really quickly before, because I know we have a few more minutes, so if there's any other questions in the chat, we'll try to get to them before we finish up. But I love how you said the shame part, because you went to school and like you said, you spent all this money and you felt bad about it. Like, don't feel bad about it. It's part of your journey. It's investing in you, and you had to go through that to really be able to get to that next step. And then the investing in you part, that's so key. I think people forget how important that is. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I think that I'm slaying. Yes, girl, my wig, okay? Snatch.
Right? We'll sit there. The people who ain't got nothing to do with us, right? And things that ain't got nothing to do with us. And you know what? No shame to that, because we all do it. We're guilty, and we're all going to be guilty. Even tomorrow, we might do it. Hey, it happens.
Right.
Humans. But guess what? You can invest in you. And trust me, you ain't going to lose no money.
Yes.
You are guaranteed a win when you invest in you.
Guaranteed a win. Yes. I got to write that down. Yes, that was so good. So in line with the whole stepping into she and your journey, tell us what stepping into she means to you, and then what is one way that you have been able to step into she this year or on your journey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, stepping into she essentially is, who did God create you to be? Who did God create you to be? Because, the first question to ask is, who is she?
Okay.
Who is she?
Okay.
Who's about that? Honey boo. Okay, let's go back, right? Who is she? Who is she? Is she a mirage? Is she the projections of what society, what family, what people, what friends have said she is? Who is she based off of the authentic blueprint? That's who she is. So
yes.
you get to step into that. You get to. You don't have to. You can continue to do what you want, right? But you get to step into the authentic blueprint of who you are. And every day that you do that, every moment, that's an investment. You're literally investing in the blueprint of who you are, of who God called you to be. Every day you can make a decision to step into that. Step into it. Step into she. Who is she? Who is she? You get to step.
I might need to do a whole thing on just who is she, okay? Because that was just like a that right there in itself was like a let me like one of our girls said in the chat, slaying, yes, okay.
Because that they think of somebody else. They don't think, no, you need.
I don't think of myself. Right. So true. So tell us one way that you have been able to step into she on your journey, your amazing journey that we heard about tonight, that I so love so much. Tell us one way that you have been able to step into she.
Mm-hmm. So one of the words that God gave me through one of my groups, earlier, everything got quarantined, but we were still meeting online. And one of the words that he gave me as a prophetic word which is, for those of you guys who don't know what prophetic word mean, it's just a word that that encourages you. That's essentially what it is. It's an encouraging word about who you are, because God only speaks to who you are. He doesn't speak to who you try to be. And so don't got me out here, okay? So a prophetic word about who I was, okay? And that word was show up big. Show up big. And I get to step into she and show up big. Meaning I'm not over here tiptoeing. I get to show up. I get to show up big, right? And so, there are times where I got to decide, Am I still here?
Yep, you're here. We can hear you.
Okay. There are times where, I got to decide if I wanted to show up with the old me, if I wanted to with the old she, if I wanted to show up with different versions of she, but not the authentic she. And when I decided that I wanted to do that, God challenges me, and I'm challenging you to show up, but show up big. You have no reason to dim your light. You have none. There's no reason why you need to cower in the corner or suppress or play it small. If you want it, go after it. If you know what God put in your heart, do it. If you want to self-love it up, and go big.
Yes, yes.
Time to work your business, don't play small, go big. If it's your time to write the blog, don't do it small, go big. If it's your time to mom, don't do it small, go big. If it's your time to rest, don't do it small, go big. Because you deserve that. You're the best. Not half effort, full capacity. Right. It's the abundant mindset. Oftentimes we're time, I don't have enough energy. Yes, it's there. It's in she. It's there.
Yes.
Show up big for you and in everything that you do. Because life is short, and we learned that this year, but guess what? You get to step into she, and you get to show up big for she.
Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh, I love all of that. This was so good. This was like a very fulfilling conversation. I love this so much. So for everyone listening, how can they, yes, life is short. This is amazing. This conversation was so good. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for sharing today. Thank you so much for sharing with us and just like getting us together. This was good tonight. This was good. So for anyone listening, how can they connect with you? How can they get involved with the many programs and opportunities and possibilities you have? What can they do?
Yeah, so you guys can follow my Instagram. I have my links on there where you can connect to different platforms that I have as well. And you guys leave a comment, interact, let me know that you're on so I can, be like, yes, girl, like, let me follow your journey, right? Because I want to be able to support you and uplift you and encourage you. So, come on over and let me know that that's where you're, hey, I was on the live. I would love to connect with you. And all of my links are on my link in the bio. So that's a good way. And just to kind of answer this little quick question, touch on mind over matter and staying touch over she. It's every day investing in you, kind of what we were saying, every day, reading books, reading things and doing things that help you to overcome some of those obstacles. Guys, it is so possible. And know that you're a work in progress. You're a masterpiece already. You're going to continue to become and continue to step into she. This is not a performance evaluation. You're not getting graded on this. You get
right.
Love you. You get to. And you choose that every day.
Yes, that's so good. Yes, please everyone connect with her, follow her, figure out, see what she has going on. She has so many things happening. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey of stepping into she and your journey and sharing a word with us tonight, okay? Because this was amazing.
Thank you, Courtney.
Yes.
Lord.
Enjoy your holiday. I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Thank you. Glory to the Lord. Because I'd be like, Jesus,
yes.
Tell the people.
Yes, come on, come through, God, because I was like, okay, she came to slay tonight. She had a whole word in the chat. They was like, she preaching tonight. Yes, she was, okay? She was giving it to us. So thank you so much for this. This is so fulfilling, so needed, and so healing. Enjoy your holiday. Enjoy some time off with your family. Enjoy your family. Enjoy the weather. Hopefully it's nice where you are. And take care, and we will talk soon.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for everybody hopping on. Thanks, Courtney.
Thanks, guys. Bye.